I want to welcome you new to the season finale of season 1, episode 10 of the Droppin Knowledge podcast. I like to tell folks this was a quarantine project, so it was developed and born out of boredom. But nevertheless, I knew I had dope guys like you within my network, and I'm all about information, knowledge, no pun intended, and sharing some of the things that I think will help folks develop, get better, and be able to pass on information to others. And so today on episode 10, we have a young brother who I've known for quite some time. We actually went to grade school together. We're actually brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And now his brother's Yo-Yo, and now his brother's doing great things on the entertainment front and the legal front. And so as we jump into this, Jamal, just kind of for my audience, tell them a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Noob. And I appreciate you for giving me the season finale, man. I feel special. I feel honored, man. And,
no doubt.
After seeing some of the guests that you had on here already, man, a lot of quality people that had a lot of, knowledge, pun intended, to drop and share with the people, man. So I salute you, man, and I honor everything that you do. Any project that you touch, Noob, I'm a fan. So I appreciate the invitation. But for those that don't know, my name is Jamal Buchanan. Born and raised on the south side of Chicago, Chatham, Ignatius for high school, Bradley for undergrad. And then I traveled all the way out to the East Coast to Vermont to get my law degree. Went to the state, 98% white, but I knew that was a situation where I could hunker in.
Yes, sir.
Focused on, what I needed to do, and walked away with my Juris Doctorate degree. Came back to Chicago, and first person to offer me a job was a guy that I know you guys see on TV all the time, Tom Nash. He's the attorney that handles Social Security disability cases.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so first guy that kind of just gave me a shot. It definitely was not the type of law that I wanted to practice, but fresh out of law school, I was like, hey, let's do it. Did that for 3 years. And then at the time, I was going back and forth to LA to just hang out with people and, kind of test the waters a little bit, because I always knew that I wanted to get into the entertainment business. But got the opportunity to move at the drop of a dime to go and work at Johnny Cochran's law firm.
Oh, wow.
Amazing story. I don't know how much time we have, but I know you remember Nigel Fryer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so very good friend of mine. Rest in peace to Nigel.
Yes, sir.
He had a friend who worked at the Cochran firm, and I was out there that weekend just kind of hanging out, and he was like, my friend said they looking to hire somebody. Send me your resume. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, all right, sent it to him, right? So this could have been maybe like a Thursday. And the next day he said, oh yeah, you got an interview tomorrow. Be there at such time. And luckily I brought a suit with me on that business trip to LA, because I was going to church with the person I was going to hang out with. So I already had that. And went to the interview, man, and just kind of was just like, yeah, whatever, Johnny Cochran's law firm. I'm gonna go in here and just shoot my best shot. I'm on a plane on Sunday, going back home. I get this. I get back home Sunday. By Wednesday, they're calling me and they're asking me if I can start on Friday.
Wow, just like that.
Just like that. Can you start on Friday? Because I told them I was already living in LA.
Gotcha.
Told them I was already living in LA. They was like, cool, come on board and you start Friday. So I had to just pretty much drop everything, quit my job in Chicago, pack up everything, and boom, I'm on the plane to LA. And probably one of the best decisions that I ever made, man, because when I was here, they told me that they were going to start a entertainment division within the Cochran firm. And that never really, jumped. A lot of people think that the Cochran firm is primarily a criminal defense firm, but it's really the civil litigation cases that kind of drive the firm and kind of is the bread and butter that kind of brings in the money. Yeah, Johnny was defending like OJ and Pac and Suge and Snoop and all these people, Michael Jackson, but The real money was coming in through the civil litigation cases. So worked there for about 3 years, man, and just about any situation that came through the door or people called about that had something to do with entertainment, they would just give it to Jamal, even though they weren't going to take it.
Right.
That they weren't taking. A lot of times I was kind of getting rid of it or referring them to someone else, but I was in those relationships in the meantime. And I was with these people and kind of giving them gems at that point in time. Well, you know, we're not going to take the case, but here's something you might want to consider. And then, you know, you get to seeing these people out and about in LA at different events, different network functions and things of that nature. So you build this rapport and you build this relationship.
Right.
So, around 2009, the Great Recession was happening and, you know, people were losing jobs, you know, downsizing was occurring in the business world. So I left the Cochran firm. It's like, okay, well, what do I do now? And a lot of people had approached me already and they were asking me, well, why don't you manage me? Why don't you manage me? You'll be a dope manager. Why don't you manage me? And at first I kind of blew it off. But after you keep hearing it and you keep hearing it, you're just like, well, all right, let's do this. So started managing and I already had some connections. But I would say the first big group that kind of put me on the map was a group by the name of Mosaic.
Okay.
Mosaic, they are an a cappella group.
Okay.
A cappella group, and they won a reality show on MTV. MTV's Top Pop Group. Won a reality show, boom, and they just started taking off. Okay, I mean, we're traveling all over the country. I even hooked up a tour for them to go down to Colombia. It's 4 cities. We hit Medellin, we hit Bogota, Manizales, like we're in it.
Right.
And getting treated like rock stars. And then subsequently after that, they got a gig in Vegas where they were opening up for George Wallace at the Flamingo. So great opportunity. And, you know, kind of sharpening my skills and kind of honing my skills, representing them through the music industry. But then at the same time, I'm planting seeds and working with people that are also actors and actresses, producers and writers for TV, film, and commercials. Okay, so that was the management aspect. A lot of the management aspect for actors and actresses consists of it starts off with what's called the breakdowns. Okay. In Los Angeles, anybody that wants to be an actor, breakdowns, okay? The breakdowns is a listing every day. There's a list in all the networks and all the studios. They put out a listing of all the roles that are being casted for. So let's say if ABC wants African-American female between the ages of 25 and 30 to play the role of Susan. I look in my roster, I see who I have that I think might have the skills to match that character, and I submit them to the casting directors. Okay? Casting director probably gets thousands of submissions every day. I have to hone in on who they're going to invite into the casting room. So with that, you have to kind of build a rapport with these casting directors too. And they have to know, okay, well, here's Buchanan management. Who are they sending me today? Okay.
Right.
All right. I know Jamal's not going to send me somebody whack. Jamal's going to send me somebody that's going to have some acting chops and could potentially do the job. Okay, Jamal, I'll give her an interview tomorrow. You're going to have less than 24 hours to kind of get those lines together tomorrow at 2 p.m. So that's when I relay the message to the actor. Tell them okay, you have an audition on CBS's lot tomorrow at 2. They practice their lines. They go in on an audition. Hopefully they rock it. And I call and follow up, if not that day, the next day. And hopefully they get a call back. Okay, if they get a call back, okay, we're one step closer. Out of all those people that submitted, well enough to the point where they want to give you a call back. All right, you're going back again. Subsequently, you go back in, you audition again. That's when you find out either you got it or you didn't. Right. And, you know, Hollywood is difficult, man, because most times you're going to hear a lot more no's
Yeah.
than you are yeses. So it's like I kind of tell clients, like, just get used to hearing a lot of no's. But
Tough business. Tough business.
just know it's only going to take one yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the one yes could change your life.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. I've absolutely seen it. So yeah.
Yeah, you know firsthand.
I know firsthand. Absolutely. So let me ask you this: in terms of you've dealt with music, you've dealt with actors. Is there what causes you to actually take interest in someone, right? Because obviously, a lot of times, specifically, good brother like you, that's relatable, et cetera. A lot of people will want you to represent them. You have kind of that duality in terms of the legal piece, as well as the skills to do management and likable guy. So for you, what causes you to take interest in a potential client or actually working with someone? And do you try to stay more on the television side or the music side?
That's a great question, Noob. I mean, because I get approached a lot, and it's one of those things where you really have to make a sensible, prudent judgment call with this, because as you know, representing and managing somebody is time consuming.
Indeed.
So it's one of those things where the person just have crazy talent. That talent that just kind of just pops out at you like, oh, okay, this person is a hit factor. So, let me kind of work with them.
Right.
But then some people can have that hit factor, but they don't necessarily have the work ethic. I've seen some people who are just crazy, just can act their tail off, but will pass on an audition. Finally get in the room and just be like, I'm not feeling the role. And I get it. It may be some type of roles that, some people might not want to play. But if something that's just controversial and, you don't want to mess up your brand kind of playing this role, never kind of just think you're like too good.
Right.
Go in on an audition, especially if you sitting at the crib just chilling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And waiting on the next opportunity. Like, so that kind of goes to the work ethic. Like, just they have to have the talent. They kind of have to have the work ethic and the grind. But personally, I kind of like to see people that are already in the union on the TV and film side. Already in the union if you can be. It lets me know that you kind of put in a lot of the legwork already to kind of at least get in the union.
Let me ask you. Sorry,
sure.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, be in a union, have a great set of headshots, and have a reel already together, because that's going to help me when I'm pitching.
Got it. So in terms of, and then I want to make sure I see a question we have online. For whatever reason, my comments aren't coming through, but I see that we do have a question. But before I ask that question, so how do you feel about maybe a talent coming to you, but they haven't taken those steps, right? Like I was in the world of comedy, right? So a lot of folks are not a part of the union. They don't have SAG cards. They probably haven't taken acting classes, but you can see the talent. Comedy's different, right? Comedy's a little different in terms of their path versus a actor or actress's path. Have you, as a talent, been so amazing that even if they haven't had those things in place, you still work with them because of what you actually see in them?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, if they got the it factor and it's so strong and you can't deny it, you're like, all right, well, let's just put in the groundwork and get you where you need to be. And they made it harder to actually join the union. Before, it was a little bit easier. But I think now, in order to get in SAG, I think you need at least to have been in at least 3 SAG projects already in order to become SAG eligible.
Got it.
And then once you become SAG eligible, you have to pay, I think it's between $1,500 to $2,000 just for that membership. So a lot of people are kind of stuck.
Right.
All right, I'm eligible to be, but I just don't have the money right now to go ahead and hand over to this union for my union card. But some people luck up. They
Yeah.
get an audition, they get their first big job, and boom, they pay the union dues, and now you're official.
To make it happen, right? Hey, I got this question I want to get to. So I have a friend. She's out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She's a producer, director, movie creator. She's done a lot of good work. Her question for you was, what advice do you have for a producer, director that's looking for an agent?
Producer, director that's looking for an agent.
Mm-hmm.
Get the best reel together that you can of the work that you have already done. Okay, maybe put together 2 separate reels. One for just your directing skills, highlighting your directing skills, and then maybe a quick sizzle reel of the projects that you have produced. And getting an agent is always difficult.
Yeah.
Everybody always wants to kind of go to the top. They want the William Morrises and they want the CAAs, and they want to go to the top. And a lot of the times, unless you have quality projects, several quality projects, and are like on your way to be an A-lister, 9 times out of 10, those people won't even look at you.
Right.
So I would recommend get an agent who's hungry, and maybe in one of the mid-tier. You don't have to go all the way to the bottom barrel, but maybe like a mid-tier agency, and consistently pitch your materials to them and hope that somebody, bites and takes interest and will hustle and grind for you. Now, you also want to be careful because some people get so geeked just to get an agent.
Yeah.
And then that agent kind of just puts you on a shelf and just like, oh, yeah, I got another dope director. I'm just gonna add them to the stable with all the other dope directors.
Right.
Got all these dope directors, and then once a project comes, he's just kind of pitching his favorites.
Yeah.
And he might not be pitching you. So you want to try to get somebody that holds you as a priority. Like they're looking at you like this is the person that I'm pushing, that I'm up all night trying to help break through.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, it's like anything else. Relationships kind of drive people getting certain meetings with certain agencies or certain managers or certain directors. So try to tap into as many, network connections that may have, some type of end with, some of the agents that you might want to be with. Research some of those, agencies in that mid-tier and kind of have like your wish list and see if you can find a back door to the person that's on your wish list.
It's funny, Nuke, that you mentioned about getting the best reel together. I don't know if a lot of people that's watching this probably don't know the story, but kind of how Lil Rel got his first break, right? And I recall back in the day, so as we were working together, I would record as much as I could. All of his stand-up stuff I would record. We would do sketches. We would do a lot of stuff. And a lot of times in the comedy world, you don't necessarily want to take your stuff and put it on like a YouTube, et cetera, because people bite. People bite, they feel it, et cetera. But we used to do it a lot. And I remember there was some pushback from other comics like, man, you guys are putting all your stuff out there. But that's the way it got recognized. When Keenan Ivory Wayans was working on bringing back the In Living Color reboot, the young lady he was working with, longtime collaborator Shauna Gar, actually found Rel through all of the YouTube stuff that we had out there. And I remember she called me. She was like, I've been sitting here laughing at this dude for like the last 4 hours. Like, y'all genius for putting all of this out here. And that was it, right? That got him the audition for A Living Color. He rocked that, got booked. That created relationships, and that led to Friends of the People. It continued to just snowball. And so, to your point, a lot of times the talent, the work, that stuff will shine through.
Right.
You should have to make sure, but you do have to make sure that you're getting in front of the right people.
And you did it without an agent. Without an agent,
absolutely. So I see another question as well. So what would you tell someone who's taking a lot of extra work and wants to get a speaking role? Have you dealt with that before? Or if not, just what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so I mean, most people kind of, especially in LA, if you're on the grind, a lot of people when they go out there, they become background artists, and that's a way to network and get to meet other actors, get to meet producers and production assistants and people like that could potentially help you down the road. I would say join a lot of the websites out there that have the acting gigs. So one is like actorsaccess.com. Create a profile on actorsaccess.com and just start submitting yourself. Just start submitting yourself. Make sure you got a nice headshot. Make sure you have a nice reel. If you don't have a reel, start putting together some sketches.
Right.
Write your own sketches for you to kind of act out that can highlight that talent or that skill that you have, whether it's comedy, write a comedy skits and put that together and create your own reel. It doesn't necessarily have to say NBC or ABC or you've been on, a network show. They just want to see that you have some type of skill, to the point where they feel comfortable inviting you in the room. So you have actorsaccess.com, you have networks.com. Those are the main two that I kind of deal with, and just start submitting. Go to a lot of open readings. Sometimes you can find out information about table readings or just people looking for actors to come and work on that short film.
Right.
There's quality in that, because especially like college projects, some people think that they're like above working on like a student film. But one thing you don't know, especially in LA, those students that are making films right now eventually are going to be executives.
Yep.
Working at the studios. And if you've already done a short or their student film, their feature, before they graduate from USC or before they graduate from UCLA, you already have an in with somebody who's about to go into a network in the studio. And if you rock their project, they're going to want to hire you again.
Yeah.
So don't think that, you're doing background work. I've seen people that have done background work and they just get pulled out of the background and say, here, stand right here and just say these 3 lines. Just went from a background artist being on TV.
Right. Indeed. Indeed.
So never think that anything is too small, because you never know. Those same people that you think, look at that kid. Next thing you know, that kid just got a studio deal, and like the game changes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good deal. Good deal. Appreciate that. That question was from Terrence. What's up, brother? Another question from Tony King. So he said, peace, brothers. I'm an artist manager. I deal with 2 R&B acts, 1 hip hop artist and 1 neo soul artist. My question is, what's the most effective way to break an artist? What are your thoughts?
Most effective way to break an artist, especially music is tough.
It is.
It's hard because, music changes so much, and it's not, the artist development is not what it used to be. Artist development used to be, you knew who De La Soul was, you knew who Queen Latifah was, you knew who Tribe Called Quest was, and you grew with them and you learned from them. And over the years, you were anticipating watching the growth of their albums and just their characters and all that.
Right.
Success in the music industry kind of changed to like, can you give me a snap song and just go ahead and do all these downloads so that we can make money, and then in 2 years we don't even know who you are. I don't even know that group right now, a Laffy Taffy or a Snap Song or whatever. Like, how many groups with T come and go? Where before it was building the brand. We were building brands back then, and it's kind of coming back around to that. But I can let you know, I can share some of the music artists that I've worked with, and some have even had developmental deals with some of the biggest music studios in LA. I mean, I'm talking studios where Michael Jackson recorded Thriller and Rihanna ripped the place out, for 6 months to do her album. And developmental deal with, with this studio. And it was still hard. It was still hard because I would take their single, get a meeting with the program director, let's say at the B96 or the GCI of LA. And I'm on the programming director, and I know it's a smash. I know it's a hit. We got BJ the Chicago Kid on the hook. I know this one is a banger. And she's like, yeah, Jamal, it's a banger, but go to his Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to get his Instagram numbers up. I could play a song right now and his career could be over. Yeah, it was on the radio, but his career could be over just like that because he just doesn't have the right, So I would say the biggest thing is to get your numbers up. Get your numbers up, get your followers up, and try to do it organically. I know a lot of people out there, you look up, one day they have 2,000 followers, then 450,000 followers. A lot of the fake bots that you can buy and get followers, try to do it organically because people know. People can tell when something is, manufactured and then when something is actually. Advice that person gave me, make sure that this person gets their numbers and they're following them. And the best way to do that is to just put out as much content as you can to get fans. Try to nobody wants to do shows anymore, but try to do shows as much as you can. Like we have this phone, we have Snapchat, like we have Instagram. It's people that are blowing up overnight off posting videos.
Right.
One single, boom, it just takes off. Next thing you know, they got Meek Mill on a song. So
right.
I would say get your numbers up, man. Get your numbers up. Make sure that the music is quality and just push. It's a grind because a lot of the time the record labels won't even take a meeting with you because they're going to do the same thing. They're going to say, "What's the following?"
Right. Yeah.
So, and then I would also say, I don't know where the person is from that asked the question, but let's say if they were from, like, just set Tennessee on fire with your single, like grind Tennessee so that everybody in Tennessee is like, he got next.
Yeah.
You know what? At that point, the record labels are going to start coming to you because they're going to start hearing about it and they're going to start seeing the Spotify and the iTunes streams and they're going to say, okay, who is this down in Tennessee making all this noise?
Yeah.
I think the first thing is to just quality work and get your numbers up. Don't be afraid to do shows. Don't be afraid to use the cell phone and apps like Instagram. And now TikTok is the most downloaded app in the first quarter of 2020. And TikTok is just taking the world by storm.
Yeah, it's on fire.
Yep.
So question for you. You mentioned, I know we spoke, I think, over this past weekend, you talked about having artists, especially up-and-coming artists that may not be getting the work, they're not bringing in the money as of yet. You talked about kind of a lane of kind of getting music placed, right, in certain projects and movies and TV. Kind of talk about that. I think that's something that would be interesting to a lot of up-and-coming artists, because I don't know if you have been broken as of yet, but you still may get an opportunity if something works. So talk about that lane a little bit for an artist.
Yeah, sure. Because the music industry is so saturated, and they're looking for these numbers on your Instagram and your iTunes page or what have you. But you still have quality music that could be placed in TV, film, or commercials. That's one of the things that I do with Buchanan Management and Consulting is that I will pitch your music to networks, to studios that are doing movies, that are doing TV and film, and that's also doing commercials. And yeah, I'm working with one artist who's actually from, like, Sacramento, California, and the guy is amazing, R&B singer, amazing. Like, you hear his music and you're like, why hasn't anybody discovered this dude yet? Like, this is insane. But again, they're not where they're supposed to be, but he's grinding and he's hustling too. Like, with his pen, he knows he has a great pen, but he's penning songs for other people and also pitching to music labels for publishing deals. That's another potential stream of income that you can have before you blow, so to speak. But with the music placement, let's take The Chi. I was able to get one of his songs placed on the Chi season finale of The Chi, and that was a quick $5,000 for him. song, that one placement, quick $5,000, a song that was probably just sitting in his inbox,
Right.
for a couple years. I caught the right music supervisor because that's who you pitch to. Find out shows that you think your music could potentially fit. Reach out to the music supervisors and just start sending them music. And you might just send them the right song at the right time that can go with the scene that he's trying to, add music to. And that was the case in this situation. I'm always sending him stuff, but he was like, this is perfect for, what I'm trying to do with the season finale of The Shot. And got him a quick $5,000. That and invested it in new equipment so that he can continue to make, better music.
Gotcha. Okay, so I got my man Gene McIntosh. What's up, Gene? He had a question. What's your expertise, or what's your knowledge around kind of BMI, ASCAP, publishing, royalties? Do you have a pretty good understanding of that world? And if so, we'd love to kind of understand that a little bit more.
Yeah, so publishing can get complicated. It can get complicated, but for music artists, okay, you have rights as soon as you compose a song, okay? As soon as you pen a song, and this is your work product, this is your intellectual property, this is your work, and you should copyright it too. That's taking a side step, but make sure you always copyright your work. It's easy. Just go on the Library of Congress website. They make it very quick and very easy for you to copyright your songs. But you have this song, okay? Every artist should try to get with what's called a publishing rights organization, a PRO, publishing rights organization, like a ASCAP, like a BMI, okay? And their job is to pretty much chart your publishing. So if your song gets spinned on the radio station has to kind of keep track of all the songs that they play, and they report that to the publishing rights organizations, and you get your publishing. You get money every time that is played on the radio, every time that is streamed on, not Netflix, but YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all those streaming platforms. You can get publishing for that. Every time that song that you got placed in The Shot is streamed, you get money, through your publishing company. They're keeping track of all that to make sure you get paid. They are there to advocate for your interest, to make sure that you get the money as a writer. Aside from just the writer having publishing rights, people who make the beats and who make the tracks, you also have publishing rights. Okay, and it can be broken down into percentages. The writer gets 100%. The producer gets 100%. So it's actually like 200% of publishing rights in a song. Writer has his 100, producer has his 100. So sometimes you may hear people say, well, what's the splits on the publishing?
Right.
What's the splits on the, well, how are we going to do this publishing? Okay, so if you got a writer that wrote a song, but then you get Eminem to come and perform on your song, Eminem might say, well, I'm gonna want a little bit more than that 50-50 on that publishing, because I know that this is about to put on, so to speak. So, I might want to break this publishing. Now, I want this split on that writing side to be a little bit different than just 50-50. It might be 75-25, but whatever. You in the game, you like, all right, Em, go ahead and get your money, and hopefully I can your coattails to get more publishing, and it's gonna sell tons of units, so that means more money for me.
Right.
So that's one way they might do it. Or, sometimes you might have multiple producers on a track, multiple writers on a track, and they have to figure out how they break up those splits for that publishing, keeping in mind it's 100% for the writer and it's 100% for production, and you kind of got to split those up. But each person needs to have their own PRO, their publishing rights organization account. You can contact ASCAP. You can contact BMI. Those are the two biggest ones. And it's easy. It's simple. And if you get a placement, first thing they're going to ask you, okay, What's your publishing? What's your publishing?
Right.
And most times people have your own publishing company. So if I was a hip hop artist, I could have Jamaal Buchanan Publishing. And Jamaal Buchanan Publishing would be linking up with an ASCAP or BMI to make sure that they keep track of everything that my songs are doing. Okay.
Got it.
So you have to have your own like publishing imprint and connect it with a PRO.
Got it. So question for you, Jamal.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's dope. You gave me a whole class.
Okay.
Just that quick. So that was beautifully explained. So how do so many artists, or I know you can't say for every particular case, but how do so many artists seem to get squeezed out of their publishing? Is it just lack of knowledge? Is it in negotiating? Is it I'm coming from nowhere, you are somewhere, and so I just may have to use that as a negotiating tactic for you to actually put whatever you're gonna put behind me? What's your experience there? And I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Well, I think that, and this is not just for music, I think that this is for TV and film too. People are just so geeked to have a contract in front of them sometimes. Like, you've been grinding, you've been putting in a lot of work, and sometimes people get a contract and they just be like, all right, where do I sign?
Right.
In advance, and I'm gonna have my single on the radio, and then they're giving me a budget for videos and everything else. They just excited, and or be on TV. Like I booked my first TV show. Where do I sign?
Right.
And that's the wrong thing to do. Always have someone look over, and it might not be. You might not have too much bargaining power. You might not. If it's your first TV show, it's not like you can really ask for more money because they'll just say, oh, okay, we're going to get the other person that almost booked the role.
Right.
That you got. And they're not going to ask anything. They're just going to time. So you might not have bargaining power when it comes to monetary situations, but it's other things that we could potentially negotiate. For an actor, like, okay, can you get a limo to come pick me up every day and bring me to set? Can you give me a bigger trailer? Can you make me number one on the call sheet, which carries weight when you're, on set? So it's other things that you could potentially negotiate that doesn't necessarily relate to, more money. And back to your publishing point, most times the labels are just throwing a deal at you and they're going to rape you for your publishing. That's why everybody's like, don't sign with a major anymore. Just
right.
Go, just do it yourself. You got the platform. You got distribution through iTunes and Spotify. You can pay $9.99 to distribute projects on your own.
Yeah.
Like, true enough, I mean, the label is the bigger machine. It's going to reach the masses a little bit quicker. And, you have to do more work when you remain independent. But is it worth pretty much them giving you an advance and then taking all your publishing?
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize you have to pay those advances back. They give you an advance to go ahead and make the money, and they give you a budget for a video, but whatever your sales are supposed to kind of offset that advance, but whatever your sales don't kind of offset, you're in debt with the label at that point. So then what are you going to do?
Right.
It'd be a situation where, the artist could make that up by going on tour or selling merchandise or doing things like that. But now with the 360 deal, the label and all that, they want everything. They want a piece of everything. So that tour money's not yours anymore.
Right.
Nice sections and the t-shirts and sweatshirts, that's not yours anymore. So you have to do the balancing test to see, okay, do I work a little bit harder, remain independent, and keep 100% of what I make, or pretty much break bread with a label and not kind of be in debt from the door and have to kind of work your way out of a hole?
So question on that, Jamal. So let's say as a music artist, you have those two scenarios, right? Talk about when you're talking with an artist, do you tend to lean one way or another, or is it more about that artist, what you might think that they need in the way of resources? Kind of if an artist comes to you, um, what direction do you tend to lean as it pertains to kind of quote unquote independent or a label situation? I know they have things out there like United Masters. At Steve Stout has United Masters, which give you kind of distribution and some of those things you talked about. Just talk about that a little bit in terms of where you stand.
I think you're not even getting at a table with a label until you get your numbers up again. So it's like for most music artists right now, it's gonna be independent until you get to the point where a label even wants to sit down and take a meeting with you. So it's like that's a conversation to be had later on down the road once you get to that point.
Got it.
So right now it's independent, is grinded and try to blow it up as much as you can. And you got GCI spinning it, and then St. Louis is spinning it, and then Milwaukee is spinning it, and now the labels kind of want to talk. Then we have that conversation. All right, should we keep doing what we're doing right now independently, or should we go ahead and dance with the label?
Got it. So going back, Gene had a question. I was actually going to ask that as well. So you touched on a 360 deal. I'm sure a lot of people have heard it, but can you give us a quick 2-3 minute high level overview? What does a 360 deal mean?
So again, a 360 deal is pretty much where the label wants a percentage of everything. And when I say everything, I mean all income that artist potentially has coming in. So that's sales, they're going to take a certain percentage of. That's merchandising, if you have like your own apparel and logos with that you're selling at your shows. Tour, if you're booking shows and getting paid for those shows, they pretty much want a piece of the entire pie, when traditionally those things were kind of set aside for the artists to kind of have on their own. But once record sales, now came and people started bootlegging music and sharing files, and the label started losing money, they had to find a way to kind of recoup. And that was the invention of the 360 deal. Everything. And it even dips into, like, let's say if artist gets into acting and he gets books a show, they might want a piece of that. It all depends on how that contract is structured. A piece of any and everything that artist is associated with.
Right. Got it. What up? I see Lacey Gatewood out there. She said, what up, brother?
Lacey Gatewood.
Lacey G, she said, what advice do you have for someone starting a label and working with underground artists? Pretty sure that's our son, Jay. Shout out to Jay.
Okay.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts there on that as someone starting a label working with underground artists?
I mean, my own personal preference is make sure the music is quality. Because nowadays, again, the music industry is so saturated that any and everybody is just putting out kind of like any and everything. But I would also say make sure that they, going back to that work ethic, make sure they have the right work ethic, and make sure that it's something that they want to do. Because a lot of times, especially some of the younger guys, they think that they want to, get into the music industry, and it's fun to get in the studio. But then when you have to, really put in long hours and work on songs and write hooks and pay for your video production, to be produced and things like that. So it's like, I'd rather go and spend that money on some Jordans or spend that money on, on their car. And I'm seeing that and I'm just like, oh, to shoot that video, you said you didn't have the money right now, but next thing I know, you have the mics on your feet. So it's like, I don't waste my time. So I would say that's one of the biggest things, is just to make sure that they're serious and they're in it for the long haul. And I know people have, lives, and people work, and people have to, take care of family and kids and all that, and it may be a side hustle. I get all that because I'm in the same position. But
Right.
if I'm learning and working as well, I don't want them to match my energy. So that's why, it's hard for me to take on a new music artist because I might not be a fan of a lot of the music. I mean, just keeping it real, music is different.
Right. Right.
Not that I can't broaden my horizons and and if something, if I see the vision, I can think outside the box, but I have to make sure that your work ethic is going to match mine. So if Lacey, if you're considering doing that, just make sure that they're ready to put in the work, whatever that entails, and make sure that they're not afraid to do shows. Like, I think that's a missed art.
Yeah.
Music industry, just putting in shows. Like, people still like to see performances and not necessarily, people that they know. Sure, we love to go see the Roots and Common and Daylight and everyone else. Yeah, of course. But hearing about that artist and you just like, man, I keep hearing about him. Let me just go see what this is about. And and you just fall in love. And the next thing you know, you following them and you're buying their music, and that's how you building a brand.
That's real, bro. That's a great point. And it's a performance is a lost art. I remember with my classic hip hop lives platform, right? So I've seen some of my favorites now, right? And like truly, two that stand out to me was Scarface, right? So his performance, with the way that we put our shows together with the live band, they really don't have time to collaborate, right? The band works prior to the artist actually getting in town, so they're working weeks before on the music, but the artist and the band don't meet until probably 3 hours before they take the stage. And so to see Scarface work with basically a new band while he's in front of the crowd, telling the drummer when they hit, and it was amazing. And it's just like it goes toward that knowledge where that this dude is a straight up musician. Mad Faces is one I think about from a performance perspective. I remember I look up, he go in the back, he come out with a graduation gown on, and just showmanship, and you're like, these guys are real professionals, and they put on shows versus I'm gonna go out here and just rap my lyrics, right? At the end of the day, and so that's real, man. So as we get ready to wrap up, so Kay Gaston asked, so one, are you taking artist submissions? So is that something that you're accepting?
Sure. I mean, I'm always down to. I review every email that comes in my inbox, and I give it consideration. So yes, on the acting side as well as TV, film, commercials, yes. Music, yes. And writing as well. I'm looking for some dope writers and producers because to me, my goal is to you work with these artists, right? And that it's not gonna be a situation where you just want to be submitting them for TV, film, and commercials forever. Like, yeah, like that's great. If we can blow you up, let's blow you up and get you as many, bookings as we can. But eventually, my goal is to take a person that I blow up and eventually start doing my own movies with them, or start putting out our own, label projects independently. So that's the long-term goal with this. It's like, why should I blow somebody up?
Right.
Blow somebody up, and then next thing I know, another Hollywood agent comes and snatches them up and kind of walks them into the studio. So all right, I want to, but then I want to make projects with you. And if those studios want to come on board and partner with us to make these projects, then let's do it. And I know sometimes they might be offering him a bigger bag than what I might have at that point in time, but at least the end goal, yeah, go ahead and do that. But eventually we will have our own projects telling our own stories. Because I think it's value in that. I think eventually we have to get back to the point where we're telling our own stories, and we can't let people tell our stories. Not some people don't do other people can't do a good job. You look at Akeelah and the Bee. Akeelah and the Bee was produced by people that were not Black, and they did a good job with that. But I can tell when a movie is done by John Singleton.
Yeah.
Tell when a movie is a cube vision project.
Mm.
You know, so to me, and that's, you know, me just kind of sharing the long term with me. I want to blow somebody up. If I blow up the next Denzel, I want to make movies for that Denzel.
Right. Right. Indeed. 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 Well, we're at the 51-minute mark. I usually try to keep these around. I'm sure we can talk for another hour. I'm sure questions will come in. So people talked about submissions. Submissions, where should they send those to?
Sure. The email address is jbuchanan, my last name, at buchananmc.com. So jbuchanan at buchananmc.com. And if it's music, send it to my Gmail. My Gmail is buchanan615@gmail. Then, you know, everybody kind of does business through Instagram now. So, you know, Instagram is Jamal Buchanan ESQ is the personal Instagram, but then Buchanan Management is Buchanan MGMT on Instagram.
Well, brother, it's been a pleasure, man. I really appreciate you carving out time. I know you're busy brother, juggling a number of things, but this has been amazing, man. This is spot on. The reason that I do this is, as I told you before, to kind of tap into my network. Got a lot of amazing people in my network, and there's a lot of information, man, that we want to get out here so people can be smarter about the things that they're passionate about or trying to do, or things that are just necessities in life. And so I appreciate you dropping so many nuggets today on our conversation.
Man, it's my pleasure. I thank you for having me, Noop.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So for everyone else, this is the last episode of season 1. We're going to take us about a 2 to 3 week break. We'll come back with season 2. I'll have a real microphone. We'll have green screen. We'll have a whole nine. The feedback has been amazing. You guys have been hitting the streaming platform, checking out the podcast. And so truly appreciate all of the support, all of the positive encouragement from everyone. And we will continue to do this. I'll be putting out ideas and guests that we have confirmed for season 2. If there's information that anybody wants, right, or you think is important to you, please feel free to inbox me, send those things so I can take those under consideration and see if there's anybody that I can bring to the table to add that information and share that knowledge. So, brother, stay safe. If the world opens back up while you're in Chicago, before you go back to LA, let's make sure that we connect. And let's work on a movie. Let's work on a movie. I know, so let's put something together.
I would love to, Noop.
Okay, good deal. All right, brother. Yo.
Okay, yo.